Joe Schoen and the front office for the New York Giants are hard at work as they try to get this roster down from 90 players to 53. And unfortunately, 4 more players have been cut by the Giants. We're going to break down those 4 players, give you an updated look at the depth chart, and then we're going to close out today's show. And I'm going to give you 10 players that I believe are on the roster bubble. Let's start, though, with some accounting. As Darnay Holmes, who was a cut candidate for me, going all the way back to prior to the NFL draft, did what, maybe I might have said he would do. He restructured his contract with the Giants to remain a part of this football team. Very similar to the situation that unfolded last summer with Darius Slayton. Due to the escalators in the rookie contract and playing time bonuses, Darnay Holmes saw a raise in his compensation end up at $2.7 million for this year. Giants were never going to pay him that. He honestly didn't earn that type of money, but he finds a way to take a pay cut and remain with this football team. I think it's safe to say he is safe now on this roster. We're going to get to those 4 roster cuts in just a second. But first, I need to make sure all of you are subscribed to New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. Because one, we're the #1 Giants channel on YouTube. No one puts out more content than we do. And if we get any more roster moves, we will make a video as soon as possible. And I want to make sure all of you are in the know on everything Big Blue. So go down right now and hit that big red sub button. The first roster move that we're going to break down is actually a player going to the injured reserve, and that is tight end Chris Myarick. This was a player that I had outside of my initial 53-man roster projection, but I thought he would be a practice squad player, and I thought the Giants managed the practice squad really well last year with game day call-ups and just finding the right players to come up on Sunday and produce, and Myarick was one of those guys. And with him not making the roster, he's going to be out for the season due to an injury. He's no longer going to be on the practice squad. We're just going to open up a spot for someone else for the Giants to add to that P squad. So now you look at this tight end depth chart, and they are not done making moves at this position. I believe the UDFA Jones is no longer going to be on this team. I'm still looking for an update on Tommy Sweeney, who collapsed at practice last week. He was walking into the game on Saturday, though, and said he was fine. He obviously did not play. I wonder if he will make the team or there will be some sort of injury designation going forward. But you got Darren Waller, Daniel Bellinger, and Lawrence Cager. I think it's safe to say those guys are locked to make this team. But I could see Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll trying to add another veteran to this position group. We talked about it on the video earlier this morning. The Giants have the 26th spot in the waiver wire order. It works out just like your fantasy football waiver wire. One person makes a pick, then it rolls on down, and you got to wait your turn. But tight end, edge rusher, I would say veteran corner, and maybe another interior offensive lineman is where the Giants will be looking at the waiver wire. I could see a tight end, though, because we saw in the preseason game against the Panthers in week 2, the Giants went with a whole lot of 3 tight end sets, Waller and Bellinger and Cager. But my thought is, if you're going to go jumbo set, let's get a 3rd tight end in there that could push the line of scrimmage, not necessarily Cager's game. He's more of a receiving mold type of guy. So I'd keep my eye on the Giants potentially adding another tight end. They also said goodbye to 2 interior offensive linemen today. No shockers here. Jack Anderson has been waived or cut by the Giants, whatever term you want to use. And Wyatt Davis also finds himself no longer a part of this team. And I think both these cuts were fair from Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen. Wyatt Davis really struggled in the preseason, especially in week 1 and 2. And Jack Anderson, he was on the team up and down last year. I could see them bringing him back on the P squad, but they didn't necessarily earn roster spots, unfortunately, this offseason. So you got the big fellas up front, Andrew Thomas, Bredesen, John Michael Schmitz, Gawinski, and Evan Neal. Now it's about just finding the players that are going to be backups for them. I think Parrott, as well as Tyree Phillips, could still make this team. Azudu's going to make the team. McKeithen's going to make the team. I think one of Lemieux or Sean Harlow, not related to Jack Harlow, one of those guys is probably going to be cut. I'm going to echo what I've already said time and time again on this channel. I am officially worried about the offensive line depth on this team, and I understand that teams in the National Football League, probably 95% of them, would say we are worried about our offensive line depth. There's just not enough good offensive linemen to go around for everybody to have a strong starting 5 and then a good couple of backups. But I am worried at this position group. I expect for them to add more in the waiver wire or a potential trade coming up in the next few days. The last player the Giants said goodbye to today, or I guess this afternoon, they said goodbye to a couple this morning, is second-year player, UDFA corner, Zyon Gilbert. And he's the guy that I also could see coming back to the P squad. Spent some time on the practice squad last year. Still a young guy, still some potential there, and it seems like he has some fans in the building. You take a look, though, at the updated cornerback depth chart. You know Deonte Banks, Adoree Jackson, and Trey Hawkins are the three corners that are going to be playing the majority of the snap for this football team. You also got Cordell Flott, Darnay Holmes. We talked to you earlier about Durag Darnay. Amani Oruwariye, I believe, still finds himself on that roster bubble. I would like to get a better understanding of what Aaron Robinson has going on with his pup injury deal. I think he'll start the season on the pup. Nick McLeod, I think, is going to make this roster. And then G-Mon Green, the UDFA out of Michigan. I think he is just waiting for the time to get that call to bring his playbook to Joe Schoen. I don't see him making the team. Could be a practice squad guy, though. The Giants have made a lot of moves so far. 22 more to go. 22 more players will either A, be cut, B, be cut and added to the practice squad, or a couple of them could be added to the injured reserve. The Giants could do some, I would say, roster management gymnastics to get this done, but 22 more players are going to see their time come to an end with this football team, and it has to be by Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So remember, subscribe and turn your notifications on, because we are going to be the fastest channel on YouTube that keeps you in the loop on everything Giants, and specifically everybody that gets cut. That's what we do. We inform and we entertain. So subscribe and turn your notifications on. Let's just recap all of the moves the Giants have made so far, dating back to Sunday afternoon. Kevin Atkins, Brandon Bryant, Donovan Jeter, Darren Evans, James Robinson, which was a shock to some people, as well as Jaden Mickens, Julian Davenport have been cut, and then Bryce Ford-Wheaton has been added to the injured reserve. Another wide receiver that was cut was Colin Johnson, and I feel bad for Colin, because if you remember last summer, he absolutely killed it. He was a standout. He was a training camp winner, and he was in line to be the Giants' #1 wide receiver, and then his Achilles unfortunately popped. Came back this summer, started to look good yet again, and then had a knee injury, missed a couple of days and a week at that point, and I think that kind of sealed the fate for him on this team, as well as just the abundance of receivers this ball club has. Corey Cunningham, also no longer part of this team, as well as Tayshawn Bauer, who was signed just a couple of weeks ago. And then just to recap today's moves, Chris Myarick has been added to the injured reserve. His season is most likely done. Jack Anderson has been cut. Wyatt Davis has been cut. And Zyon Gilbert has been cut from this football team, which means we are getting closer and closer and closer to week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. If you're excited about week 1, Sunday Night Football, Giants, Cowboys, hit that thumbs up icon. Let's get to 1,000 likes on today's video. Show some love. Hit that thumbs up. Also, we have an awesome sale going on for all of the real ones right now. You guys know I'm a Nike guy. I actually don't have a Nike shirt on today. That's crazy. And if you go to chatsports.com/NYG sale, they have Giants Nike gear on sale. You can get the Darren Waller jersey, you can get the crew neck, or you could just get the nice plain and very fresh t-shirt, I might add. Giants logo in the middle, football underneath with the check on the side. Get your Giants gear, Nike Giants gear, which is on sale at chatsports.com/NYG sale. Alrighty, let's close today's show out with some cut candidates. Obviously, there's 22 more moves to be made, and I think all 10 of these guys might end up getting the call. I don't see David Sills making this football team, despite his best efforts, as always, in the last preseason game. I do think he's a practice squad guy, considering the relationship that he does have with Daniel Jones, unless he asks to just be released and not want to be a part of this practice squad. Kalil Pimpleton, I think he's going to be cut. The veteran James Crowder, I think, is on the bubble. Shane Lemieux, I think, will be gone. Gary Brightwell, I think, will follow, as well as Kobe Smith, Oshane Ximines, Habakkuk Baldonado, who I want to be on the practice squad. He really popped in my eyes in the first 2 weeks. A UDFA young player. I think he still has a whole lot of upside. I think special team specialist Cam Brown will find himself off this team. And Bobby McCain. Bobby McCain is also, I think, going to get cut. But he could make it. He's one of those guys that I think is 50-50 at this point when you talk about the Giants safety depth chart. As always, you can follow me over on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. That's the best place to stay in the loop on breaking Giants news. So give me a follow over there, and let's go Big Blue.